Hi, everyone. Good morning. Michael White here from Sangoma Technologies. We've got a few more people joining us today. We're going to hang on for just a couple more minutes. We'll get started with some brief introductions and then roll you into today's content. So thank you very much for joining us once again. Our mission today, if you're listening, is to have an interactive session. We're hoping to hear your questions. We're hoping to see raised hands. I've got a crew of individuals here that are, what I've called the Sangoma open source royalty here at Sangoma, and we're ready to answer your questions. And like the title says, get interactive. So give us a couple more minutes here as we get some more people to join, and we'll jump right into it. So first thing, we'll just get together with some brief introductions. We're going to have a quick chat about the 17 beta. I know there's a option for you to leave a note. Please do if you're already testing FreePBX 17 and you see the chat console up there at the top of the screen, go ahead and put a note in there. We'd love to hear that you're trying out the 17 beta. Chris is going to chat a little bit about some of the prerequisites or things that you might need to have accomplished before we can get to installing one of these modules. And then today's agenda, we're going to do a quick overview of CDR Pro. We'll slide into the CRM link after that and chat a little bit about our multi-factor authentication module. So those are the three that we will cover today. But as Chris asked, we'd like to cover some other ones. We're planning to do a couple more of the free module stuff. We've got our Sangoma Talk, Sangoma Connect. These are our soft phone modules. We're going to put one together to show you guys how to install, manage, and maintain those with your customer base or with your employee base. We'll chat a little bit about how to obtain these modules, where to buy them, how to install the module, how to get access to the licensing. And then lastly, my main man, Chris, over here is going to walk us through how to install some of the stuff. And we'll wrap it up with some feedback and a quick discussion. But remember, the title of this is live and interactive, and we'd like to have you ask questions. So feel free to do so. From an introductions perspective, I'll get started. My name is Michael White. I'm the Vice President of Open Source here at Sangoma Technologies. If I had to sum up my role in a few words, I would say it's my job to get more people to use FreePBX, period. As a seat from the evangelist post, like I said, my goal is just get more people to use it. All the things fall in place from there. So thank you to this group for using FreePBX. We appreciate it. Let's get started. Chris, just quick round the room introductions. You want to go first?
Sure. Chris Delis, I'm with support, and good to be here. Good to see everybody.
And Lauren Gates joining once again this week from the exotic Far East in Atlantic Canada. I'm the product manager for open source projects at Sangoma.
We're joined by Leo. Leo, are you able to tell us a little bit
Oh,
about
hey guys.
yourself today?
Hey guys, yes, I'm Leo D'Alessandro. I'm one of the product marketing managers here at Sangoma Technologies, and I have the privilege to help out today and learn a little bit about FreePBX from our experts here and fielding any questions you guys have in the chat panel. So, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Leo. And just Leo, like us, he comes in here today, but he's an OG. There's a few people with as many FreePBX shirts as that guy.
True.
I think that's all of us here today, right? I
That's
believe
it.
that is. All right, let's get started. So if you haven't had a chance, please get involved with FreePBX 17 beta. I will drop a link to this here. You can find full details in a blog post from Chris Delis on our wiki. As many of you may know, this is the first officially supported system based on Debian. This is also the first time that FreePBX Engineering has published a script. We're moving away from the ISO-based install to script-based install, and it's the first supported system install method that's licensed under GPL. This slide deck also has a link to the GitHub stuff, and just as soon as I get John here, I will share that out. Today's, for the live interactive session, our goal again is to cover the free trial bundle. If you're joining us for the first time, just know that this free trial bundle affords you the ability to take all these modules that we have here today and install them in one swoop. This will bring the three modules that we're talking about today, CRM Link, MFA, and Advanced Recovery, But if you get an opportunity or you're interested to learn more about the ones that are on this list in front of you today, we have posted many of our, or have or plan to post our previous sessions. We've done 2 already. The first 2 covered the other 6 modules, Q Pro, Q Reports, and Exact Dialer, and Appointment Reminder, CDR Pro, and Call Accounting. As I mentioned before, while you're picking up this module in the portal, feel free to grab the soft phone trial as well. That'll give you access to 2 users, and since we use PJSIP, all those extensions can operate as one, and you have our mobile and desktop client free to test. Any questions so far from the group?
Nothing in here yet, so we'll just pull ahead.
All right, and one quick way to get that, if you do go to portal, there's a search icon at the top. We'll cover that in a minute. You just search for the word trial and you'll be able to pull that back. All right, just a quick, the plan here is just to give you a quick overview before Chris does his thing. First one up on the list is the multi-factor authentication module. This brings additional security by requiring 2 additional verification factors. In our case, we offer MFA via one-time password via email. We offer that via telephone call. We support Microsoft and Google Authenticator apps. And you do also have the ability to set up and use recovery backup codes to log in. Also supports trusted devices configuration. That's module 1. We also have our advanced recovery module. Chris gave us a little look at this in one of our previous sessions. The advanced recovery module is really designed to give you some additional peace of mind where redundancy is necessary. The advanced recovery module gives you the ability to sync up 2 physical pieces of equipment, one primary and secondary for the node. With the application, the information that's stored within the primary server is replicated to the secondary if you have an issue. And Chris will dig into that one more deeply as we move along. Last one up is our CRM link. CRM link really is a solution designed to give you really 3 features, the ability to log any inbound calls or to your contacts, inbound calls to your contacts in your CRM. It also affords you the ability to log and attach that call recording or voicemails to those contacts as well. And then it also gives you things like screen pop functionality with our desktop application, Sangoma Talk. So check those out. We support Salesforce, Sugar CRM, Suite CRM. There's a good integration with ConnectWise, and then we support our most recent integration, which is Zapier apps. If you're not familiar with Zapier, Zapier is a API middleware. Chris, do you think I described that right? It affords you the ability to connect things together, FreePBX being one of them. With Zapier, you can provide integration that you may have to develop otherwise, and connectivity with our Zapier CRM Link app brings that functionality right into the CRM.
You had an interesting example we had put together at one point you might want to describe. If I remember correctly, you had a Google worksheet that we were dynamically updating with sales calls outbound. You wanted to know what your people were doing outbound every day, and this thing somehow updated your Google worksheet and gave you live numbers essentially.
That's right, and fortunately for us, CRM CDR Pro eliminated my need to use a spreadsheet for that. But what he was talking about really was CDR. So if you're a company that wants to have some ability to track your salespeople, we were adding an entry to a spreadsheet, Google Sheet, with Zapier and FreePBX every single time one of my team members made an outbound call. So we were doing outbound call tracking, and it was posting all the information, caller ID details directly to a spreadsheet. So there's a lot of custom functionality you can add, and the goal really is to eliminate the need to develop things yourself. Zapier provides that connectivity and gives you its own graphical user interface for creating workflows and things like that. It's a very simple setup. So I'd recommend you check that out. Again, these are all available in the free trial bundle, and you're welcome to have a go at them. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to quickly cover, And Chris, if you want to start out with the module admin, we'll show them quickly how to get the modules in the portal admin. I guess I can jump in portal quickly. All right. So basically, if you haven't had the opportunity to add a commercial module to FreePBX yet, a big part of it is licensing. This is portal.sangoma.com. This is our web store. As you can see here, we have offer some base licensing plus a product section that offers all of which Sangoma sells. In this case, I'm just going to hit search up here for trial and find that free trial bundle. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my cart. Once it's in my cart, I'm going to go ahead and check out with it. Checkout's going to require two things from you, one of which you probably already have set up, and that's your address and everything to create the order. And then it's going to ask you here for your deployment ID. If you haven't licensed a module yet, you can find your deployment ID in the portal, or you can find it in the sysadmin module under sysadmin activation. I don't know if Chris, if you're sharing your screen. Once you check out with this application, with this module here, it will automatically be licensed for your system, and you'll be able to update your activation and move forward with the installation. And this is the part where I hand over some of the demonstrations to Chris, but again, our intent here is to be interactive. If you had a question related to these commercial modules, feel free to chime in at any time.
Very good, thank you, Mike. I believe I'm sharing my screen now. So Mike was describing the portal piece of it. You can also do a few other things to see if this MFA is licensed. If you've got it installed, you would see a little buy application or a buy link here to do that, but otherwise you're just going to see the module is available. I don't know if many people use this, but you've also got a change log here as well for different versions. We know there's a problem with these links as it goes back to the old issues stuff, but at least gives you a framework of what we, a JIRA number we can reference. But the MFA module is pretty simple. Once it's installed, one thing I would suggest if you're going to be using email is to make sure that if email is the method you're going to use for MFA, you want to make sure that's rock solid before you even try to set this up. So you would check out your email module and do some testing there to ensure you don't have any issues. But once this thing is installed and licensed, you've got pretty simple options here. Whether or not this thing is globally enabled or disabled. If you disable it, it's going to disable everything about it. Once it's enabled, you can choose the type of MFA that you're going to allow. Right now, I've just got email only, but you can do a call, you could do authenticator apps. You've also got a section that would cover everything. All the types of users that you're going to apply MFA to can be users through UCP, administrators, or both. I've got it set for both right now. And when you initially set this up, especially for the admin, you may have to add an email address here. When you go to enable it, it's going to ask you to enter an email address. You'll get a test email to it, and then you'll be on your way to enter a code when you actually go to log in. So I have set this piece to not remember me for 30 days. And if I go to log in, it's going to ask me for a code, and it's going to tell me we've sent a password to my personal address. And if I find that, I should have an email.
I heard it come in.
Yep, it's there. So here's the email I received, and I would just copy the code, and you can just paste it. It will just auto format and get in there. I'm not going to select this because we want to have it available, and then I'm in. The same process would apply to UCP if I were to log out and log back in.
Chris, if I could interrupt with just a quick fact. So the way that the module is licensed is per admin. However, when the system is licensed, you do have access to MFA for the end user group in UCP. So you will need an individual license for each admin that you want licensed on the system. Single admin, you need one MFA license. Multiple admins, add multiple. Price, I believe, is 18 per year for this feature.
And once you buy a single administrator, then that unlocks MFA for all users using UCP.
Okay. So here's my admin user down here, just a few of the options that you'll see displayed. It's whether or not this is enabled or disabled. If I click this little green check mark, that's going to disable it for that user. You've also got an option within backup codes to regenerate them, delete them, or download them. This is an example of that download of recovery codes that you can use. And then you've also got a reset MFA for everything. So I had told it to remember my computer for 30 days, and for this demo, I wanted you to be able to see the login process. So I had to do a reset in order to let that happen. And this is where you'll see your UCP only users, and all of the same things apply to that except the UCP interface. Now, if I'm already logged in here, let me log out and go to user control panel. Okay, it's telling me again, I've sent an email here, and we should get that shortly. There it is. And you can see it's not admin, but 1001. Come up here and Control V, and I'm in there. Got a bunch of different things in here in my user control panel. But that is about it with respect to MFA. Any questions from the audience?
I didn't see any. I will
I'm,
talk about
there's a single question here now that I'm attempting to find the answer to, so we'll circle back to it a little later.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm in the wrong one.
From Pat.
Very good. Do you want to move on to whatever we want to cover broadly in the next section? I'll get set back up again.
That's up to you, Chris. Take us where you want us to go.
All right. Let's see. We had MFA, CRM link, advanced recovery. That's a good one. We'll just move there. So the last time I demonstrated this, I did it from the full setup, which I could do again, but it'd take quite a while, and we don't want to take up all the time here. So what I've got here is a sample that's running, refreshing, and doing everything that it's supposed to do from an advanced recovery perspective based on the schedule that I gave it. So this is what you would see after you had run the wizard. Now, before you run that wizard to set up the devices, you'll definitely want to make sure that you've whitelisted the primary server and vice versa on each system. Each system should trust the other one. Each system should inherently trust you wherever you're coming from. You don't want to get disabled before you proceed. Once you've got that base set up, you can go to configuration here and you can look at the configuration on both systems. The secondary server is not going to have nearly as many options because most of this is all controlled from the primary. This call notification will call you if it senses a failure. Interesting. You can also get an email alert, whether or not you're going to save the inline logs and attach them, and what the email type would be for success or failure. And I've got both here. You can see what modules you're replicating. As in many cases, you may not want to replicate certain ones, but it looks like this just takes care of it. Backup is something I would be careful with if it's a scheduled job. And then you've got your scheduling. So mine is running every day at, what is this? 27 minutes, 11:27 for some reason. You've got a threshold time in seconds if you're doing any type of auto switch services. Some people want to bring the primary down. I don't do that in particular. Whether or not you're excluding that settings, if they're two disparate systems, two different IPs, you're definitely I want to exclude the NAT settings and exclude the bind address because those are going to be different. Typically, you may have different DNSs in different data centers. I typically don't replicate those, but I do want to apply the config once we've done the sync. I'm not disabling any remote trunks. You may need to do that if you're doing registration with something like SipStation, certainly something to be aware of, and whether or not you're excluding the certificates. And I don't exclude mine because I've also got that HADNS. I want users to be able to use the same name and do all the same things with the same services. And what we showed last week was how desktop could work with that respect.
And I wanted to jump in quickly. I don't know if Alvita has posted that session yet, but if you were looking for a video on the complete configuration, Chris does do that setup as he mentioned in a previous one, and we can get that link out to the group too.
So here's an example of the replicated system. We've got all of my extensions here. The main ones I'm going to focus on are the ones, the P series phones. So it's going to be 2003 and 2005. Look what happens on the secondary system with those two when you take the option within, worth mentioning specifically, within advanced recovery, you have an option to regenerate endpoint manager templates for Sangoma and Digium phones. There's going to be a little bit of a difference in behavior between the Sangoma and the Digium phones. What's cool about, let's say Digium, our P series phones and the S series phones, the big difference is the way they maintain registrations. The P series maintain them synchronously over both systems, which is good. There's no failover period, whereas the S series will fail over. And it's just this one little option here that takes care of that. Regenerate EPM configs for S and D series phones. You take your brand, you pick your template, and you just hit regenerate. So that will immediately tell the phones to adopt that new configuration that has both the primary and the secondary. And if you're looking at my primary here, you can see 2003 and 2005 are registered. If we go to the secondary, we'll also see 2003 and 2005 are registered. So I'll just do a quick echo test from this one. This is 2005. It knows it's on the primary system. Echo, echo, echo. So that's happened. You can see it's happened on the primary system. Now let's say disaster strikes. Power, disk, who knows, whatever reason, we've got a core stop now. Asterisk is now dead. So a few things should happen. The phone should realize that. And my secondary is still up. If I just take the same phone and dial star 43 again. Great. It didn't work. We'll give that a second. Let me try another phone. Okay, this is the right one. And you can see that echo test just occurred on the other system. I know what's going on now with my first one. I use SRTP and TLS, and apparently I did not get that set up correctly on the first one. But 2003 is a just TCP transport extension, and it's working just fine. You can also see here the S series phone has finally moved over as well. So 2007 came over, but that took a little bit, and all that's happening because of the name. CDITC1 is the primary, CDITC2 would be my secondary, and then I have this floating IP address that I use for anything that can't use an IP definition specifically. And what that should allow us to do is to bring up this desk phone. That's the wrong thing. To bring up the desktop phone. Because we replicated certificates, this should just work. even though we're going to another system. And there it is. That's pretty cool. So the desk phone is up and running. Loud, but there's my star 43 occurring there. Now I'm going to bring this system back up on the primary side with just an FW console restart. And we should see all of this stuff roll back over. The phones, the desktop eventually, and my address specifically should update.
Quick side discussion. I just noticed that Justin was here from our European group. Hi, Justin. Thanks for joining us today. Justin works with Sangoma customers with FreePBX and PBExact in Europe. So if anybody's joined us from Europe today, other than Justin, feel free to say hello to Justin. Justin, I also disabled your mic if you want to say hi, but thanks for showing up.
Thank you very much for announcing me and for having me on this webinar. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it last week because we had an event, but yeah, no, it's also a learning curve for me. And indeed, my one of my key focuses is the FreePBX users and resellers here in Europe, here, mainly UK and Benelux. But yeah, thank you for having me, and great show. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining.
And so we've recovered back to the primary now, and you can see all the calls are immediately just using it. If we didn't have the issue with the TLS SRTP problem in 2005 initially, that call would have just worked. No failover time, no amount of no fail back. It just knows what the primary is. It knows what the secondary is. If the primary is not available, it's just going to use the secondary. So that's pretty cool. The other piece that we were talking about was this HADNS, and you can see this is already reverted back to 155. And I should only need to reload this. And we should see 981001 came back to the primary with no issues. That's pretty good. So that's about it. Any questions related to high availability with I guess I say high availability. It's even though it's a scheduled replication job, unless you're changing things extremely frequently, you could do this every hour of the replication. You can do it every day. I've done it as fast as every 5 minutes in testing, but it's pretty doggone close to, it's instantaneous failover for the P series. If there were no changes, the S series are going to lag by about 30 seconds depending on TTL values, but otherwise it's a very good system for redundancy. Makes it a whole lot easier than the typical warm spare setup. They've done a good job with this module, and that's all I've got on it.
Now it's maybe a good time to circle back. I got a handful of MFA questions here. I've sent answers to the questioners, but maybe I'll share them for everyone's benefit. So we had a question from Pat, who's asking if MFA supports the Cisco Duo app, and my best answer to that is we haven't tested it. Oh, I say we.
It does not. That's my experience. And Duo is the one that's used in schools a lot, right? I remember I had this experience with a large school district that we were working with who was using Cisco Duo, and there was some interaction there that was no good. You could do it. My understanding is there's a special library or something. They actually talked about it on one of their websites that you needed to do, but it was custom and outside of the scope of the published module.
And I have used other authentication apps other than Microsoft and Google, and they have worked. The standard scan the QR and proceed from there. The names at the moment escape me, but I could look back in my notes and find them. If anyone wants to follow up with me, I can try to track that down. We'll share some emails at the end. Warren's asking what happens if you don't renew the MFA module. Does the requirement just stop? And I confirm, yes, your login method reverts back to standard with no MFA challenge if the module is not licensed.
Yeah. And if anything did go wrong, you can always just disable the module through FW console as an admin.
Another question, I won't attempt to pronounce the name, my apologies. Can you set MFA for inside and outside zones, which is a very clever idea. Don't remember seeing that discussed or requested until now. And so that is not supported. It's either all or nothing. You enable it for the user, and regardless of from where they log in from, they will be challenged with the MFA pin. But I'll take that away with me, a little nugget, and consider adding that for future as far as.
And that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. I don't know why we didn't think of that.
Pricing based on source IP or based on LAN interface, that sort of thing.
I forget what they call it in MS365, but I remember going through this a while back. They didn't want to have users at one site being prompted. The only time they wanted MFA in effect was if they were outside of the main site, and you had the ability to set that up and whitelist an IP from the MFA process. But that's a good one.
Steve is asking how long the MFA trial is for. It is for 1 month, the free trial. Pat is thinking that if it can scan a QR code, that it should work. So I'd be interested in hearing your results with that, Pat. You can raise a forum thread to discuss it or share it with us via email.
I don't know if anybody remembers the customer we were working with. It was called IU12. They had a large Active Directory piece, and it was integrated with Duo, and somehow we weren't getting the notification wouldn't complete. There was actually something we found on the Duo website that talked about how you overcome this and the changes that you needed to make. But yeah, if you run into anything or figure it out, let us know.
And I did want to point out too, this is one of the good reasons to join these events. Our team admittedly doesn't know everything, and we could use some great feature feedback, feature requests, and you've got the right group here. So thank you for sharing that request. Keep them coming.
That is all the MFA questions. We got a start on advanced recovery. So we have a question here from Brad. What happens to in-progress calls during a failover or failback? I'll let Chris answer that one.
They're dropped. I mean, if you've got a call started and the system fails, that call is going to drop. The next time they call back in and you call back out, it should work. So I guess we can show that one more time. Let's pretend we've had another failure here. I'm going to work with 2003 only. Core stop now occurs. Asterisk has failed. The only system up is 2000 or CDITC2, which is this is the form spare. I'm just going to dial an echo test. And I've done the same thing. I must have something banning clients.
That's why they call these dangerous demos.
And we just have to wait.
And Chris, what you're demoing right now is a dropped call, correct?
Is what?
What is it you're demonstrating right now? Sorry, dropped call?
Just a failure on the first one, a recovery on the second, but I think I've banned my site. The phone shows registered, but I'm here, but I'm not showing it registered on the actual device.
I do want to report that generally speaking, Chris has a lot of fun things set up. I can imagine it'd be easy to run into an issue.
In my home lab, controlling whether or not the phones get to phone service or not for automatic configuration, and or using a local option 66 So there was a lot of moving parts. But to answer the question, the call will drop. The recovery should be instantaneous though on the next call, because what I'm showing you here is these P-series phones maintain registration to both servers at the same time. If this were to come back up, okay, something, it looks like it's working now, so it just took a second. I don't know why. Actually, that's 2005, which I have the TLS set up on. It's not going to work, but this is generally painless and quick, actually instantaneous. But to answer the question specifically, calls in progress will drop.
It's an interesting concept. It is technically possible to preserve active calls. Of course, it's the reason that things are failing over is because there's been some sort of catastrophic unscheduled service failure. So quite often calls will drop anyway, even that you're trying to recover from. But it is technically possible to, and I've seen demonstrations of it where you have active calls being reinvited over to the standby server prior to the failover, so that they can continue uninterrupted. It's fun to see in practice.
Yep. So 2005 finally did recover, and it looks good. We're we make an echo test here. It's coming up on the secondary, the backup system. If we bring this one back online, as soon as that's back online, we should be able to make the call, see the phone register, and things are back to normal. We've recovered. Any other questions, Lauren?
Not at present, but lines are open. Operators standing by if anyone has any more.
So it looks like we got a little bit of time left. It's at this point, I'd welcome any additional questions. If you've got a question FreePBX related or would like to learn something more, guys, can we commit a couple more minutes to a discussion here if anyone's got questions?
Sure.
I have a question here from, I wasn't going to introduce it, but since we have the time, Logan is asking about a BLF splash screen on P-series phones so that you can get a visual information of a status of a remote BLF device as far as caller ID, that sort of thing. And so that is something that is currently on the medium to long-term planning for the roadmap for P phones. So we'll expect to see that in a few quarters.
A remote extension? Because I remember I've done this with Jack, had him set up a phone. You can kind of get the status of the extension if you long press the button for the extension. It drops you into
yes, that's right. There's certain, you can get but that just sets the user status, right? They're away or vacation, that sort of thing. I think the request is to.
If you long press it, you get 2000. You get the extension number, you get the display of the server, and you get a display telling you it's okay or not. So if I long press my button for 2005, it shows me 2005 at cditc1 at myskunkworks.io, and in parentheses, okay. It tells me how many voicemails are there, and it tells me my presence.
Oh, that's different than what I was thinking. So that might be a workable solution in the immediate term. I'm going to throw my
Chris?
email address in the chat for anyone who wants to get a hold of me, and we'll take this conversation, Logan, offline. If you take note of my email address, I'm about to share for everyone.
And we could grab a screenshot of that too, I think, and share that with Logan to see if that suffices for his use case. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that question, Logan.
It will depend on how you have the long press configured on your phone, because on mine, I believe I do a long press will do an intercom call to the extension.
And just for reference, Lauren, you're still the P-Series PM too, right?
Yep, I'm a phone project manager as well.
Perfect. So we got the right guy here for that as well.
Anybody have any questions related to 17 or anything we should be thinking about with respect to 17 that you think we've missed?
I don't link early on in this presentation in the chat to your blog, Chris, for anyone who wants to read that, and it links the repo where the installer script is. So anyone with, excuse me, anyone with a few minutes and an inclination to spin up a simple VM can have FreePBX 17 up and running in a test environment in no time.
And I did share the slide deck for the link to the beta and the GitHub links there as well, but you'll find both on Chris's link.
You should find the reload times in general are improved by orders of magnitude, so you should see the same. We need more testing. I would certainly advise anyone testing to do both a straight install, maybe doing your own config, and then another way to do that would be restoring. Very important, we test as much as we can related to restores, and we've tested the heck out of it internally. But if there's something else out there that we've missed, it's going to come from the community, and we need that input. But the only way to get to 17 will be through the restore, unless you're doing a new system.
We have a request from Paul to go over again how to purchase or do the free bundle purchase in Portal for a specific deployment. And he's asking if you can try it on several PBXs, and the answer to that is yes. One free trial per PBX, no limits there.
Let me share my screen quickly. So bear with me one sec. There we are, folks. All right, so you'll want to browse to portal.sangoma.com. And once you log in, you'll see that the menu here offers a lot of options, many things related to your systems or products that you've purchased from Sangoma. But what we're looking for here is the store. On the store tab, we have this section here, and I didn't design this website, and we'll give Lauren a hard time about the user experience, but here's the product section. Once you extend this menu, you'll see that there are options for FreePBX, any of our enterprise gateways, PBExact. The one we're looking for here is the FreePBX systems and software. So if you hold your mouse over this, you'll see that we offer the modules really in two different capacities. One is a bundle, similar to the free trial bundle, and those are listed under the bundle group. And then we also have things that are available in 1-year license, 25-year license, as well as free trials. I'm going to just select this a la carte section here to show you that you do have the ability to pick these up one by one. So if I wanted to grab any of these individually, I can do that. But this bundle is going to license the system, and again, in one swoop. We've added this to the cart. Another way to get there is to just quickly search for trial right here. If I search for trial, this is going to pop up. I've added it to my cart now. You're going to have a little bit different view here. I'm logged in as a Sangoma employee, but this part is the same. Once you get to this screen here, it's going to show you what you have in your cart, the SKU, what the price is. This is free again. You're going to go to the system admin section of your PBX, and on the top right, there's a link that says activation. In that activation section, you'll find your deployment ID. It's, I believe, 7 to 12 numbers. And once you type that in there, and I'll just type something in here, see if we can pull something back on 1, 2, 3. It will automatically populate your deployments there. It doesn't look like I have anything there. I pulled this one up. It's a new location. Checking out here is going to go ahead and add that licensing to your PBX. And then you'll go back into the system under the system admin section, and then you'll update your activation. At that point, the system will be licensed. You'll see a section on there that will list each of the modules from our bundle. Some of them have different names than are listed, or shortened names, but you'll see a list of them on your screen. I don't know if you have that up or you can show it on yours, Chris, but the
What do you want to see, Mike?
I'll pull mine up here. Sorry. So yeah, under system admin, under activation, here you can see this is my deployment ID. I can actually do this. We'll just do this with the system here real quick. I'm going to copy this to my clipboard. I'm going to head back over to Sangoma, and I'm going to drop this deployment ID in there. Wait for it to find it. And we'll go ahead and process that order. Back here under the activation, we'll go ahead and update that. And you'll see that I'm now licensed for all those modules within my free trial bundle. I'll give you one more quick example here. Go back to the store. This is one you'll want to pick up for sure. This is our soft phone application. If you haven't had an opportunity to check it out yet, I highly advise you do so. It's very easy to invite users, very secure application. It leverages our use of CHAN PJSIP from Asterisk. If you're using one of our P series telephones, for example, you will notice right away that we've done a good job of trying to incorporate sort of feature parity as well as visual parity. So all the buttons, the transfer keys, all the icons that you see in these devices, they transfer right over to our desktop application and as well as our mobile application. I'm going to go ahead and grab a quick soft phone here, soft phone trial. I'm just going to type in soft phone up at the top. It's going to bring me back 3 options. The first one you're going to see is you're going to see actually some interesting new stuff here that's coming to our application shortly. So we're adding some new queue features and supervisor features that'll be licensed on a per queue or per supervisor basis. But for the sake of our conversation right now, I'm going to go ahead and add our 2-user 3-month trial license. I'm going to hit that add button there. Once again, go back to our cart, hit the checkout link, put my deployment in again. This will pop up much faster on yours. It's searching for all those in a group of everyone's. I'm going to go ahead and process this. Now, when you check out from your account too, you'll get an email, very much like placing an order. It'll be a receipt for your transaction. It'll show $0, similar to any other transaction you place in Portal. We head back over to our system, we update the activation, and we can now see that we've got our Zulu licensing here. Lauren, I'm just going to make a feature request while we're online. Can we get this updated to say soft phones? This creates a little bit of confusion, and there might be a ticket on that. Maybe we can get that one moved up a little bit, but if it says Zulu here, just know that that's our old soft phone. If any of you are using Zulu, you're gonna and you're just now hearing about Talking Phone, I've got some exciting news for you. You'll never use Zulu again. This has been a very good application for us. But I think that covers it here. If there's any other questions on how to add a module, I'm happy to address those.
Very good. I know you mentioned the soft phone, and that's something that I agree with Mike. If you haven't used it, you should. Unfortunately, the one that I have in this system, I don't have all the features turned on, but we've got new things in there like queue visibility.
I've got it turned on here. If anyone wants, we've got a couple more minutes left. I can walk you through this for 5 minutes if you want to stick around.
Very good. So I'll show the SMS real quick. I don't know if you have that set up, but I've got an SMS. I've got a SipStation SMS did defined to this user. This is a conversation between me and Jack. This is a conversation with myself, but it's the integration is very tight with chat with respect to SMS. You've also got visual voicemail here. So if you have a voicemail, you're able to play it, manipulate it, delete it, whatever you want to do. Very nice. You've also got contacts, and you can link that to a particular view or search. See if we can find Tracy. There she is. Wanted to call her if she's there, but go ahead, Mike. I'll let you share whatever you were going to share.
I was just going to talk a little bit about the app itself. Here, let me get back to my screen. So as mentioned before, these icons and everything that you see are very similar. This is our desktop application. One of our goals again was feature parity. We're going to do we're going to do one of these, Chris, on just the soft phone, so we won't get too deep into it today, but again, the goal was to provide that parity with the desktop application. So if you see an app that runs on this, then it will also run on your desktop physical P-series telephone, as well as your mobile your mobile soft phone application for Android or iOS. So we have a parking lot application. If I park a call here, it will show across all soft phone users where that call is parked, and any user can pick it up. He showed you a little bit about voicemail. Remember that any of these numbers can be clicked. We also have the ability to add these numbers to any of our address books on the fly as well. Same thing for these here. And then, of course, we have a traditional dial pad. When there's an active call, you can set up and configure it to have a record button as well. When we talked about SMS quickly, one of the things that we can also do is just traditional chat. So Chris has SMS set up on his side. You can do a very similar thing. So you can find or start a chat with an individual. You can also create a room. I've got some rooms created over here. FreePBX Cool Kids, for example. In this group is Ryan, myself, Lauren, Ted, and some members of my sales team. Some of the things that you can do quickly if you want to is start an impromptu call conference here. But one of the other neat features as well is not only in the chat icon can I see if they're on hook or off hook. So we've got a busy lamp field here, but we also have their presence indicator. This is configurable inside the presence management app for FreePBX. As you can see here, you can create or utilize the canned messages, but you also have a custom message option that will allow you to create things that may be relevant to your business. So you have the ability to do one-to-one chat, group chat as well, and then SMS and MMS. The SMS and MMS features are supported under our SipStation trunking. So if you have SipStation, or if you're a member of our wholesale group and utilizing VoIP Innovations, we also support SMS and MMS to this application via our wholesale product. So, if you're curious to learn more about those, feel free to reach out to myself directly. I'd be more than happy to chat and talk to you and walk you through those. One of the things that's coming, Lauren,
I was hoping you were going to cover this.
Lauren, I'm going to share this here. This is not top secret. There's plenty of information out here about this in our wiki, but these are some very exciting new features that are coming to us now. From a demonstration perspective, I can try to drop a call in here real quick. Give me one sec. Ted, I think I just noticed that you're on here too. If you could go ahead and answer this, that'd be awesome. Let me just dial in here quick to give you this because these are really very snazzy features. Let me talk a little bit talk through this as the call comes in. You may remember if you've been around FreePBX a long time, we had a solution called ExactView. Well, in moving away from ExactView, we wanted to integrate the features from a calls perspective into the application as well. So you can see here that my call is coming in. He grabbed it at the time, so it's no longer waiting. If we go back to our primary screen here, I can see that not only does Ted have that call, this shows our busy lamp field, so this is on the call. It also will blink if it's ringing. But again, his availability and his busy lamp field are two very separate things. So in the queues application, as this call was ringing in, I'm offered 3 features if I have the permissions to do so. So I can monitor, whisper, barge, or I can redirect that call to any group, any queue caller in that group. So as a manager, I can see the calls coming in, who's waiting. I can see member activity. So I can now see that Ted has my cell phone call on that application as well. Let me jump into the PBX real quick and show you something on here. Forgive me, guys. I know we're approaching 6 minutes, so I'm hurrying here, but these are important features and I want to cover them just briefly. So with FreePBX and PBExact, everything in these applications are granularly controlled for permissions, right? So the call queues in the monitor and the whispering and the barging are no exception to that. This is our hosted version of FreePBX called PBExact Cloud. I'm just utilizing this to jump in and show you quickly what I'm doing. Within the Softphones application or the Sangoma Connect module itself, you have a section for each user where you can quickly define the permissions that they have available for those call queues. Give me 1 second here. So I'm going to go to my user here, and this is me, Michael White, and I'm going to go ahead, and with that, if I'm using the mobile app, I can just send a quick email invitation. I'll do that so I can share that. But as I modify myself here, you can see that I can create various permissions based on the client itself. So I can set it up to show only my status or a detailed view. If I have detailed view, I can see things like whether he's on the phone. I can pick up, monitor, or whisper his calls. If I have my status, I can only show the things that are relevant to me. Within that application, another nice feature or thing that it gives you to do is it gives you the ability to pause your application and put a reason in that's visible for others. So if I have to use the restroom, I can show other members in my queue that I'm unavailable and pause myself. But I can also log in and log out from here if I am a member who's not permanent in this queue.
Dynamic agent.
Excellent. And then, of course, it's going to show us wallboard information about missed calls and abandoned calls. And then one last thing, if I'm a call center manager, I can say, you know what, my critical point is so I have 8 calls waiting. I want to jump in. If I have 8 calls waiting for more than 60 seconds, I'm sorry, that would be 60 minutes. Then I want to go ahead and create an alert for myself. Once that alert is created and those parameters are met with any of the queues that I'm a member of, I'll get a pop-up on my screen that will give me the notification to log in and start taking calls.
Like, to be clear, how you got there with the ellipsis next to all queues?
Correct. Yep. Set alerts.
I didn't know that was there. One piece that I've got to run in a little bit, but I would like you to mention what's coming with respect to call activity groups. So as part of the plan and the feature set that we thought we needed to replace the features that ExactView covered or had in place was the ability to barge monitor, whisper basically anyone on the system. So you can set up this thing called call activity groups. It's not published yet, but with that you can define a group of extensions or an extension that you will have the ability to barge, monitor, and whisper to outside of a queue. So right now, everything that he showed you is within a queue, but the piece that we thought we were missing was the normal scenario where you've got just an extension not in a queue, and somehow a manager and admin wants to be able to barge, monitor, and whisper one of those extensions. So that's
you can
coming.
see here, somebody's gonna jump in there and grab that here quickly. I think it looks like most are on the call, but one of our partners calling into the queue now, and you got full visibility into how many calls are waiting, how long they've been waiting, total missed calls, any abandoned, and then average wait times. Missed calls, for lack of a better description, mean that they missed whichever member that they're ringing. So we haven't missed 47 calls here. They've just overrang because those agents were on the phone. So this gives you, again, full visual overview. We've got a lot of customers that are going ahead and putting this on a computer, bringing it up on a large screen in their call center so everyone can have a view. But again, this is our mission is direct replacement for ExactView. And if you can, if you've used that for any amount of time, I think you'd say we're on a pretty good track for, definitely enhancing the user experience within our queues with our softphone application, as well as any visual, call control that's available in the system. So fun times ahead. All right. Well, I certainly don't want to keep anybody long, and I will thank you for allowing us to go off on a tangent with our softphone application. I think these are very important ones for our group. Definitely we saw this product really take off during the time of the pandemic, and hasn't slowed. I think, if I'm being honest and I'm speaking, truthfully, I think that the pandemic did everything it could to push the desk phone over the cliff, and we're seeing quite the opposite of what we used to see now. It's we'll have many environments that are primarily soft phones, and then only desk phones where others are using physical equipment. So this has been a good product for us, great product. In fact, one more quick reminder that this the dual licensing does come with both soft phones. So each user will, if you buy the licensing, we offer it in a single user as well as a 20 user pack. And each of those 20 users can use simultaneously our mobile and desktop applications. And due to PGXIP, they will operate as a single contact as the same extension. So have fun with that. Try it out.
Very good.
All
And
right.
one thing I'd just like to say before I go, thanks everyone that posted a question. Mike, if you can, make sure we get those names and get the t-shirts out. And one thing we'd like to see from the audience is if there's anything you'd like to cover, please get those in as topics for the next session, and we'll do our best to cover those in depth for you. So anything you've got that you want to know about the system, any admin challenges that you're having, anything that you think 17 needs to do better, those are all things we want to hear from you, our customers, and our community. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, folks. We really appreciate you joining. Look forward to the next session. We'll be posting some updates with next month's topics. We really appreciate your time today, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks all. Bye all.